School District Number 76 Board of Education Special Meeting, July 1st, 2014 to order. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to those in attendance. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Here.
Pam Griner.
Here.
Brittany Cagle. Here. Val Reagan. Here. Julie True.
Here.
Becky Kern. Here. Judy Stein.
Present. At this time, we have public participation. If you would stand and state your name and address and your concern, we have allowed 5 minutes for anyone that wants to participate at this time. Not sure if I could hear you. She did.
Randy Giddens, 821 South Creve Coeur Avenue. A couple of topics real quick. One is concerning the auditor. You just finished the fiscal year yesterday. I've been looking at your audits for the last 3 years. I brought up the one audit. We had an auditor for several years, and he pointed out in that report this district had at risk approximately $5 million in his report, and the board never done anything about that. When I read that audit and seen that, I brought it to the attention. The superintendent at the time showed up at the next meeting saying that she's got signed affidavits from the treasurer. I FOIA'd those signed, well, what she said was signed affidavits. She gave me 2 documents. Neither one was signed, neither one was an affidavit. There was no proof. I asked Mr. Aldridge when he first came on, and you gave me a document, and I wanted to give it to you, but I didn't understand it that well. Is our money been protected? Has something changed? No one has ever offered to bring this person that pointed this out to the board, the auditor we had for years, to explain why he did that. I know later time I asked Ms. Davis, and says, oh, he made a mistake. The mistake was you didn't have those affidavits that you told the board you had, and that has bothered me for a long time. I know we've had a new auditor the last couple of years, but there's been some big mistakes. One of them is when he reported you got $191,000 you're going to be using for the Litchfield renovations from the Capital Development Board. You returned about $180,000 because that's not what the grant was. And if I remember correctly, Mrs. Bailey even asked him at that meeting, did he even read what the grant was? Because it was not what he indicated, and there was other things brought up in it. Since Mrs. Strong, since you became the president, you haven't had any financial people come and talk to the board directly or answer any questions if the board member had any questions. You had someone here for the budget, talked about the money. If it wasn't tipped, you have to distribute it. Well, he hasn't been back, Mr. Cahill. And when that audit was done and didn't report, the district filled out their annual financial report, they got TIF money. I think by the letter you got last month, hopefully from the village board, you all understand, you never got any money from the village. It never came from them. So where did the money come from? I investigated. I know the money came from property tax revenue, and I know the Board of Education didn't distribute it. I think there was a response to the regional superintendent. Well, the auditor didn't see anything or something like that. That's what I'm talking about tonight. The auditor didn't see a lot of things. Maybe you want to, the board, the auditor does not work for the superintendent. Last year, the superintendent hired the auditor. It's the Board of Education that hires the auditor. The auditor reports to the Board of Education. What that allows you to do is, did the superintendent follow the budget that was laid out at the beginning of the year? Are we in compliance? And that report goes on up to the state. The last 2 years, I've been questioning that report. It's been reported to the state. What about the errors? You've expelled children for not following the rules. This board has, just recently. I think the board should follow the rules, and if there's an error in those reports, point out the error and put whatever details you want in there. Let's get the money back where it belongs. The other thing is, I just, listening the last couple of months, do y'all know we're getting rid of Litchfield building? Because that's what I'm gathering from the superintendent, Mrs. Strong. We're sending money back that you could have used at Litchfield building on that maintenance grant. You decided to send that money back. We're not going to spend money at Litchfield building. So what are we going to do at that Litchfield building? The deadline's in 2 years. No, the maintenance grant, you said you didn't do anything. It didn't sound like at Litchfield that was in that maintenance grant. And they would have matched you dollar for dollar until you spent $100,000. So, I think I heard you say we're down to one classroom, I'm not sure, in the district, and you're getting ready to create a new position, that person's going to go somewhere. So where are you going to go? And I think you talked about possibly needing some more special ed. Where are you going to put them? Are we going to build new buildings? Are we going to expand it? I haven't heard the board really discuss all of this. This all links together. Your bonds that you're talking about possibly selling, are you going to close Litchfield building within 2 years? Or did we just send this money back to the state and now the local taxpayers have to pay the full bill instead of just half of it for some of the stuff there? 30 years ago, 29 years ago, this district sold a building for $27,000. Litchfield building was almost closed. When I was appointed to the board, we only had 2 classrooms down there. Mrs. Bailey, when you were elected to the board, we had that entire building occupied, 3rd and 4th grade.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. We'll take
Homewood,
those
not Litchfield.
considerations.
Homewood, not Litchfield.
I'm sorry.
Homewood. Thank you. Okay. Then that makes a little more sense.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay, no problem, Mr. Giddens. I wasn't following where you were at, sir.
So he meant Homewood.
Okay, meant Homewood, not Litchfield. Thank you.
I was really confused.
Okay.
Others?
My name is Don Bosler, 201 Oak Ridge, Peoria, Illinois. I was here at the last meeting, very surprised. Hadn't seen that many people at a board meeting until the last 3.5 years ago. Had that many people here. I listened to them when you went in executive session. Didn't know quite exactly what was going on, but I listened to them. They were very talkative while you were in the executive session. Lots, they were really comparing notes. And I thought, I was sure maybe said something then, but couldn't talk at the last board meeting because you already been gone. So now here it is, and so I want to talk about some of the comments that were said that you need to be aware of, because you're talking about outsourcing and things like this. These people are really comparing notes. They talked about the outsourcing first of the groundskeeper, that you kind of went around the contract with the grounds. This is what they're saying. You went around the contract with the groundskeeper. You didn't hire one. You had it in your budget that you want to spend up to $10,000 for more. You didn't even do anything like that. You wait till the time comes, then you have to apply for emergency usage. And here's half the summer's already over, and still advertising for a groundskeeper. They talk about delay.
It's not good that you look outside when you walk in the door.
I see it's on there. I said, it's advertised.
Okay.
It's
Sorry.
advertised there. You haven't hired anybody yet, but it's advertised, okay? Matter of fact, I read it, up to 20 hours. I thought I might even apply for something like that. I could handle that. Then he talked about the janitors, outsourcing them. Audience was also talking about outsourcing the bus drivers. Even as far as outsourcing the cooks. Things like this is what they're talking about there. You need to be aware of this if you haven't heard it from the public, because these people are there. We'll get back to that, like the groundskeeper. You had it all in the budget. Janitors. You start thinking about the janitors. You've got one that's retired into this month. You got 2 janitors that basically been with the school district for a number of years. You got one here at Parkview. She's been moved around from LaSalle to Parkview to Homewood, whatever it may. She's a dedicated personnel. She's got family ties here in the community. Kids went to school here. The other janitor over at Parkview, you moved her from around the day shift, the night shift. Her mother was probably one of the best teachers in this district. In fact, she was one of her titles when her mother was in this district was PR person. We had a budget in the budget under public relations. You may need to think about doing a separate category dealing with public relations, especially all the problems you have with the parents club and all that stuff. But that's a good position to put in the teacher's contract. A little stipend, wasn't much, it was only maybe a couple $100. Her mother did a good job in public relations, but you want to get rid of her daughter. You know? Then you got summer help. You know, you got 5 summer people working in this district. One of them is a dedicated teacher, good teacher, takes pride in his work. Been doing it for a number of years. You got 2 of them that are head cooks, one in each building here. They've been doing it for a number of years. You know, they clean the buildings, also they clean their kitchen and take a little pride in their work. You got another cook that has ties in the community. These people live in the community. Then you got a teacher's aide. I'm going to tell you, she's probably one of the best teacher's aides you guys got in this district. I was very fortunate to work with her, you know, but you want to cut that position. She works full-time during the school year and then turns around and works during the summer for you. And what do you want to do? Outsource. This is not being humanistic. You know, you talk about salaries, you talk about workman's comp or like that. You're in negotiations with the contract. Come up with something in the contract to deal with the different wages of these people and the new hirees. And you talk about workman's comp. You know, you talk about new hirees, give them 30 days, whatever it may be. Well, be a little creative. You know, you people that are negotiating. You got a lady here in the audience that lives in this community. We'll give her right arm for these people in this community. Trying to negotiate a good contract. I don't know if you're really treating her very fairly, or her, the other lady who drives the buses. You know, we talk about bus drivers. We had one of the conversations with the bus driver. I'll tell you what the conversation was when we were in executive session. I told the bus driver, you know, people don't realize the bus driver is probably one of the most important people in this district. They're the ones that pick up the kid in the morning, set the tone to that kid when he says hi, good morning, things like that. And guess what? When you get off in the evening, you say something nice to that kid. And that's very important. Janitors, cooks, but you got 5 of them. You know, they'll go through the line and everything like that. And they say good things to the kids. I just got one more thing. I think you need to bargain in good faith. You need to be humanistic. You also need to listen to this man right here, Randy Giddens, because he got some good ideas, such as administration building, not using it properly and everything. Since my time up, I might talk next meeting.
Thank you, Mr.
Finish, I had a whole list, okay?
If you'll come to the next few meetings that we plan, you'll probably hear the truth about all the things that you've been stating.
I mean, what? I can't hear you.
There is truth about things that you've been stating that are not what you voiced tonight. So you'll be hearing those.
Oh, yeah, this stuff didn't come from me. This is what these people out here.
I understand.
Things about saying $200,000.
I'm just saying there are truths that you did not speak. So please come during the summer and you'll find
I'll
out.
come. I mean, it's like the teachers talking about their letters and stuff.
The investigation is directed only on the janitorial service at this time. It's just an investigation. So please be at peace that we're not replacing. We're just investigating. There is some financial benefits, and that's all we need to say at this
Well,
time.
and I
So
got to
thank
mention to you, we explored this a number of years ago.
Please, thank you.
Okay, let's tell you what people said.
Okay. Any others? Having none, we're going to go on to, first of all, at the board's pleasure, and no objections, we are going to be moving our executive session right after the technology company's presentation. Any objections? Hearing none, we'll ask that Facet Technology.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Brian Ford from Facet Technology, one of the companies who was invited to do an overview of our technology department and what we have going on here in the school district. So after having spent some time with these gentlemen and a few other companies, Board of Education kind of narrowed it down to just a few, and Facet Technologies is one of those that's here tonight to give us a presentation of their overview of our school district and our technology department. So Gentlemen?
All right.
And
Thank you very much for letting us come and talk. Appreciate the opportunity. A little bit about Facet, my company. I'm the president of Facet. Started 25 years ago. We've been in business 25 years. My wife and I own it together. So we are in 5 locations. Our main location's in Pekin, and then we're also in Peoria, Farmington, Normal, and Peru. 5 facilities. We have approximately 30 folks on staff, and many certifications and degrees, very highly educated folks, a high level of experience. We support a lot of businesses in the area, and from the areas that I just mentioned, you can imagine we go out a long ways. We basically, north to south is Rockford, to south of Springfield, and then east to west, really both sides of the state. And then we also have Facet, also owns Nerds on Call. So I'm sure you've heard some of our Nerds on Call advertisements and stuff like that. A lot of people hear those and think they're pretty funny. We like to play on words with those. But our Nerds on Call operations are most of our retail operations, with the exception of Pekin. Pekin, before we bought Nerds, was Facet. We left it that name. Our other facilities, actually, the name on them are Nerds on Call. Our engineers work out of all the facilities. It just depends on where they're at, what's most convenient for them. We're very fluid. It's very easy for us to get people around places and to get customers taken care of. And again, because of that, we have many thousands of residential customers as well as the business customers we have. We're partnered with all the big technology companies. We've got Microsoft, Cisco. We're Apple certified, so we can take care of not just the Microsoft Intel systems, but also the Apple systems. HP, many others. We also are in an alliance. I formed an alliance back in 2004 with 5 other technology companies in the area. Makes us a little stronger in that we don't want to focus on things outside of our expertise. So when we have a customer with a phone problem and they call us, we start becoming their trusted provider, and they might call us and say, hey, we got phone problems. We don't know phones, but we have a trusted partner who does know phones. We have a trusted partner who's really good at fixing printers. Another one that's good with web stuff.
all right, Brian, we have copy machines in the district.
Yes.
All right, that are they're wired into the network so that teachers can send print jobs down to the copiers and go down later and pick them up in their mailboxes and do all that stuff. You guys have these alliances for that kind of purpose?
Yeah, we do. But the other thing I want to stress too is that we don't come in like an 850-pound gorilla and say, you have to use our partner. If you've already got a partner that you're happy with, we're happy to work with that partner. We do it all the time. So don't think that just because we have a partner in that area that we will only work with those people. It's rare. I think out of all the thousands of folks that all of my, me and my 5 other partners, the 6 companies have, we only have just a handful of folks that use all 6 of them. Because, it doesn't make sense for everybody to use, all the different partner companies. They might have a need for us, or they might have somebody that they've been dealing with for 10 years that they like. So, we'll do it either way. If you need help, we have a trusted partner we can call in to give you a quote. If you don't, if you're happy with who you have, we work with all of them. So that's fine too. A little bit about Facet's offerings. We, on the business IT support side, that's the business side, and that, when we talk business, we talk government agencies, schools, nonprofit organizations, private businesses, the whole plethora of anything that isn't residential is what we group into business. We have LAN and WAN services, and that's basically just network, making sure all your network works properly, and then making sure you have connectivity between buildings. So, buildings across town, we make sure that's what WAN is. That's that phrase. Desktop support, it's just making sure that all your PCs are working properly. Remote on-site support, that's important. We're very responsive. When you call, there's a real person that answers the phone. You don't get a menu that you have to hit 1 for this and 2 for that and 0 for that and whatever else. They're real people that answer the phone. And when we do have people answer the phone, I talked to Shane about this, I have a problem when people say, what's your response time? Because I know my response time is different than most of my peers. They talk about response time in 4 hours. That means you get a call back in 4 hours. You're talking to a real person when you call us. So the ball starts rolling immediately. So there's a little difference in response time. And we with all the facilities and all the folks we have, we use that to our advantage. Software support. A lot of times you have specialized software that just for schools or just for your organizations, just for grants, whatever. We help you with all that stuff. A lot of times you just need help with a support call because somebody on the other end, I know Nerds on Call, but I really don't like nerds. I don't hire nerds. It's a fun name and it's fun, it's a great name to advertise, but I really don't like nerds because they don't talk to people very well, and you'll see that my people are not really the true nerds types. They talk well to people, they communicate well, and those are the types that we hire. We hire more on personality than anything, and you'll see that. But when you do run into those situations, we can help you with those guys, because we can talk their talk, and they're not going to buffalo us on that sort of stuff. Website maintenance, we can help you with that, training. Hardware, we sell PCs, we sell all the peripherals, any of that stuff that you need. Again, residential, we have sales and support and repair. The other nice thing on our contract customers, we give all of our contract customers employees, and that would be everybody here in the, employed by the school district. We give them a Facet Black Card, and with that Black Card, they get discounts and they get priority service when they bring machines into our shop. So that's one advantage we can offer because we have so many retail operations. And then the bottom thing is our ticketing system. We sell that. Doesn't mean a lot to you except for the fact that our ticketing system is so good that we sell it to other companies. And I run my business on this ticketing system. So in that respect, that's a good thing for you guys because we have a state-of-the-art ticketing system that every time you call, everything gets recorded, the ball gets rolling, we know what's going on, we don't get lost, we don't have Post-its sitting on somebody's monitor that get lost in the trash or anything like that. We have a database of everything that's going on and know what's going on and how to get it, or when we need to get it taken care of. Facet keys to success. Process and procedure. Facet is a very process-driven company. Extremely process. Everything we do it like McDonald's. We make sure we do it the same way every single time. Every single time, it's the same way. And that's important because customer service is our number one priority. It's the number one thing we do. And the only way we can get good customer service is if we always do everything the same way every single time. So you'll see that we do things the same way. It eliminates warranty issues and helps customer satisfaction, obviously. again, I'll talk again real quick about the people we hire. We hire for personality, first and foremost. Some real smart guys and gals walk through my door that don't make it to the second interview because they can't talk. So the first thing we do is hire on personality. You know, I'm not saying that the people that work for me aren't smart, because they're smart, but we, first and foremost, is personality. Range of offerings. The other thing that I want to mention, you know, I mentioned we got the 5 facilities. I want to mention that, I want to stress that because we can do things that some of our peers can't do. We have full-time guys and gals that work on the bench. I say guys a lot because in my industry, I've only got one girl tech, but so most of them are guys. But in our industry, we don't have many people. A lot of my peers think stuff is just throwaway. When you break a DC jack on your notebook, just get a new one. We don't have time to deal with it. It takes too long to deal with it. No, we have a bench of people who know how to solder those DC jacks and save you a bunch of money. We don't throw those away. We solder them and put them back in service. So, you know, that's something that sets us apart. You know, high-end security services, we do a lot of different things. The thing that you might be asked sometime by an auditor is penetration testing or PCI compliance with credit cards, stuff like that. We do that sort of stuff. You will get asked some of those questions from time to time. It just depends on whether you have to or not, and we can help you decide whether that's a must or not. The proposal for the school district, a few things that we put in there that we want to make sure we stress is we want to be proactive. We want to try to make sure that things are maintained properly, monitored properly, so that you have less issues, less downtime, better productivity, better learning environment. You know, our network monitoring package is set up so basically it monitors all the time, and it sends a message to these guys back here, especially when there's a problem with your server, and it might be at 3 in the morning. We've met people at the door at 8 in the morning or 7 in the morning, whatever time they open, like, what are you doing here? Well, your server's down. Well, they didn't know it because they hadn't come in the door, but we did. We knew it, so we were waiting for it. So that's the sort of stuff that we want to do. Same with security. You know, security is important. We have a lot of security services that we offer. Regular on-site visits, very important. You hear a lot of people talk about managed services. Managed services are, we do all the same stuff with managed services. We can remote in and fix a server, we can remote in and fix a PC, but there still has to be somebody here on a regular basis to make sure that that fan that's squeaking gets heard, or to make sure that when a teacher's having little nitpicky problems here and there, they get taken care of. Maybe she doesn't want to call because it's just a little issue. But when somebody walks through the door, you go, oh, well, here, I got a list of things that need to be taken care of. That's what most of our customers do. Some of the other things that we can do, I talked a little bit about, you know, dealing with vendors. We can help you deal with vendors, especially, you know, if you're having issues with a vendor, you know, we're fine to take ownership of a problem. We have no problem with that. We don't point fingers. If you want us to take it and run with it, we'll make sure it's safe. We do that all the time for our customers. Regular business review, inventory reports. We have software that we've invested in that will go out and do an inventory of your whole network to make sure somebody's not running games on your network, or make sure that you have the proper number of license. Sometimes you find out you bought too many licenses. You know, you find that out quite a bit, actually. So that's the sort of stuff we look at. We help with the IT budget forecasting and technical documentation, just whatever type of things you need there, we can help you with. Reactive services help desk, again, on-site remote, I talked about that a little bit already. You know, we can get somebody over here very quickly, or sometimes we can just fix it remotely. So it depends on what's more efficient and more effective. Service requests, we don't care how you communicate to us. People ask, well, what, you know, do I have to do this? Do I have to email you? Do I have to put in your ticket system? Do I have to do this? We don't care. Call the number, email us, text us. We have online web chat. We have the ticket system. We don't care. I told one guy we could do carrier pigeon if you want to. It wouldn't be very effective, but we could do it if you really want to. But so you know, just if you've had providers in the past that say you have to communicate with this way, you don't have to. As long as you get to us, we'll take care of it. Again, it's backed by the ticket system. We're 24/7, 365. We have a lot of clients who need us 24/7, 365, so we have that capability. We always have somebody on call. We get called out on Thanksgiving on a regular basis to take care of some restaurants that we deal with that tend to always break down on Thanksgiving. I don't know why. They won't call us for 6 months, but they call us something. Project work, we can do, you know, project work if you need special project work, and that's a little bit what that talks about. As far as your technology plan, I know Shane asked me to kind of go over a little bit about when we were talking about what we envisioned as a technology plan. Now, you know, obviously, we've only done a small assessment, so we're not sure what all you guys want, but this is kind of what I envision is going on, and you can definitely correct me if you don't like what you see here, or if you want us to go a different route. But our thoughts are to develop a 5-year business plan. It could be a 3-year or a 7-year. 5-year is just what I said, because we want to start looking at a regular replacement of machines so you guys can budget for that sort of thing. So it isn't, you know, you don't have to replace all your machines at once. It's just, it's kind of a budgeted process. And just looking at everything you want to do in the next 5 years for technology. Budget, obviously right now we'd have to work with existing budget. And work with the administration to assist in determining future budgets. You know, you need input. We can give input on how we think technology is going, what we think is needed, and, you know, we can give you a wish list, and you can say, no, I can't afford this, or I can't afford this, or can we do something different here? We can help you try to figure that all out and work that out. And then provide information. We provide information to help people get grants and stuff like that as well. So any information you need like that. Asset management, again, I already touched on that. Hardware replacement schedule, software license management. You know, you need a lot of license for all the machines you have here, all the classrooms, all the machines. So we have software that you can use to manage what you have and where you're at on all of that. Education goals, you know, make sure that the technology empowers the students and the teachers, and also make sure that, you know, you're satisfying any government regulations. You know, I know there's more testing requirements and things like that we need to deal with. So help you with those sort of things. And then as far as technology support, just in general, we need to make sure we have good support for the teachers, the students, and the staff. And we can't forget about the staff either. This is something that people ask me, why should I choose Facet? I've been asked that a lot of times, and this is the best stuff we can come up with. So peace of mind. We have a dedicated long-term support team. We don't have much turnover at our place. We have long-term employees. We have fast response time, experience. We have a lot of depth of staff, a lot of different experience, and long-term experience. And again, highly certified and educated folks. And then our vision, the big thing is we want to make sure that our customers meet their strategic goals. And the way we can do that, we've been in business for 25 years, we've seen a lot of things, and we can use the technology along with our business expertise to make sure that everything happens the way it needs to happen. There's a lot of times when I walk out of the meeting and these guys are like, "You had your MBA hat on again." I'm like, yeah, it was more MBA than it was tech. So we want to make sure that you guys have what you need when you need it. Yeah, okay. Questions?
You've answered a lot.
Okay.
Not some that
I talk fast, so it's like you're on a roll here.
How
But-
many, excuse me, how many on-site visits per week would there be? I mean, is it a set number of days?
Well, we estimated 30 hours per month, right? And Jason, Dan, what are you thinking on that? That's probably a
We were kind of thinking a couple days, or half days possibly per week.
yeah, probably a couple times a week. We can obviously change that around, but a couple half days a week or something like that. And that would, sometimes it really depends on the customer schedule and how they want us in here. And then obviously we can be in here other times too when you need us. But, we want to do the regular visits as well.
Right, well, I'm thinking of teachers, if they call in with a problem, they're not going to be able to take your call by the time you call back. They're going to be in the classroom.
Okay.
So I don't know, we don't have an individual to run in between,
Okay. And
that I know of anyway.
so it depends on, it just depends on, something we can do remotely, we can do it right away.
Right.
Yeah, if not, then we'd have to roll somebody out here and just, if there's a teacher and they're down, they have a problem that they're down. And one thing that I would suggest, I don't know, this is up to you guys, but I would suggest that you would have a main person that the teachers would funnel their questions to, because we don't want to be rolling people out here for something that doesn't make
I
sense.
agree.
So we kind of like to see a person, almost like a super user type person, or somebody that knows computers better, that knows that, no, you shouldn't roll somebody out here for that. Or that can wait till Thursday when Matt comes out, or whatever the case
So
may
Brian,
be.
when you first would come in, you would probably not just come in a half a day at a time. I mean, you're gonna come in, assess the whole situation, and be here more than just a couple days at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
kind of give us a general thought process of, the first week or couple of weeks that
How are
you
you
take
gonna
on your
implement?
customer.
what we normally do is, we see a large, when we quote this time, this is the time after we've got everything straightened out. But normally we see a big hump And then, then it comes down.
Right.
And then we start our normal support and normal projects and that sort of thing.
Because I'm kind of thinking your, couple half days might be maybe a couple months from now. Or-
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Eventually, it's gonna be like, we need you here.
Yeah,
So-
and I don't have a pencil and paper in my hand right now, but I always show new customers a graph, and it basically is just a big hump, and then it is gradually,
Okay.
it's gradual up. And the only time you see bumps in that is if you have us do special projects or something like that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we kind of had that
Yeah,
understanding.
I should have mentioned that. I did mention it to Shane, but I should have mentioned it
Okay.
here, and I didn't, but yeah.
Are there
One advantage we
additional-
got right now too is the summer, so we'll probably have extra hours because we won't be supporting staff as much. So with the summer, we get in here, we might have time to kind of knock that out before we start the
Oh,
school
okay.
season.
Yeah, that
would make sense.
is something.
Okay.
So if I'm hearing correctly, the 30 hours that you kind of evaluated, the startup is probably going to be more than that, of which you're not having a charge to the district, or? do you
Oh, yeah,
charge
no,
the
there's still be,
district
yeah, there's still be a charge.
additional charge
Mhm.
for anything over and above
Yeah,
it?
yeah, definitely.
Just to clear that up.
Yeah.
Now, challenges for the district. Of course, we are challenged with meeting with state requirements of new testing. Have you, because I believe you come in and do you see anything that you'd like to talk about for the district of a challenge that you will be bringing to us, or?
As far as, well, we saw a lot of things that need attention. There's an awful lot of things that need attention.
Which is just tech. Tech is like that. It's always changing.
Yes, it is always changing. I think the best way to say this is, it is always changing, but when you plan and you do stuff efficiently, we should get in a pretty good situation where we can lower the amount of support needed because we're doing things more efficiently, more effectively.
Increasing speed and responsiveness and all of that.
Absolutely, and making sure we don't have cables all over the floor that kids can kick out and that sort of stuff. There's making sure the servers are set up properly, updated properly, so that we have some more efficient operations in that respect. I think if you look at our assessment, you'll see a page of things that we found that we really want to address. Things that need addressed.
Thank you.
I have some more questions.
Sure.
And I do too.
For the amount that you quoted us, does that also include if we need equipment moved, like classrooms?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay.
We'll do anything, we are not, there's no job below us. So, if you need things done, that just require us unplugging the computers and move them, we'll do it.
Okay, and then do you clean them yearly and get them ready for the new school year? with the new-
We can definitely do it, and that's something, it's somewhat customer dependent, I would say, wouldn't you guys? Matt, what do you think about that?
It depends on the frequency and where they're at, how much dust they've got.
Now, is that included in the amount?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Additional?
Yeah, I mean, what we quoted was a 30-hour a month contract. And we quoted that somewhat on the idea too that we think that that's where you'll be after everything's straightened out. But also, I guess in the past, and that's one question I had, in the past you had some high school interns and stuff like that. I don't know if you still have that.
As far as I know, we have one.
But it ends, does
I should be able
We could definitely utilize somebody like that. You know, if you have one available, and we would help supervise that person and make sure they were doing things that saved you money and made sense. And I don't know how often you get
the
that.
30 hours a week, that would have to cover the summer.
30 hours a
Or
month.
30, I mean, 30 a month. That would have to cover the summer cleaning and everything too, right, within that 30 hours? Okay.
Wasn't that rolling?
Yes, the other thing is if you don't use all 30 hours,
Right.
it rolls. Yeah, that's one thing we do that I don't think anybody else does.
Because what we have is in the summer, we have a big routine maintenance kind of project ongoing, you know, to get everything back together, make sure they got all the keys on them, and, you know, just general maintenance, cleaning, and you know, overhaul if needed. That happens in the summer when this you know, the equipment is sitting idle. So that's where a bulk of the time needs to be devoted. But if we have the rolling hours, that can be kind of banked up and used for those times. Is that fair to say? I don't know. I'm putting words in your mouth, so.
Yeah, and I think you wouldn't want to bank like 100 hours for the summer. My thought is anyway, because then basically you have a 20-hour contract, and it might be pretty tough for us to do everything in 20 hours, quite honestly. But you know, if you bank some hours every month, and then we can use that in the summer, that'd be fine.
You've mentioned cleaning up messy cabling. Do you also do new cabling?
Yep, we do, and if it's above our expertise, then we have, one of our partners does structured cabling. So, depending on what it is. Some of the stuff that we saw in some of the classrooms probably could almost be cleaned up if we supervised the high school kid. Quite honestly, it could be cleaned up.
Doesn't your facility also do web posting and all that as well?
We have a partner that does that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That at some point, if we ever got to that and wanted to
sure,
expand our services as well, we might.
sure.
So,
Yeah,
have
our
people
partners
look
in,
into that or whatever.
yep, OIC group in North Beacon, here, just right down the road here. Does a great job. He hosts all of our websites. Yep. Well, we used to do a ton of it ourselves. And that's another thing, like, I kind of just put off to a partner because they're much better at it than we are. Yeah, I know when to push it off, yeah, to somebody else. I know, you know, we want to do stuff that we know we can be really good at, and everything else will let somebody else who's really good at whatever else do. So that's how we work.
Is this a one-year contract then?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there any opt-out with a, let's say, 30, 60, 90 days?
All of my contracts say right in that if you're not happy, give us 10 days to resolve the issues, and if we can't resolve the issues, you can get out of the contract. And I don't know if I gave you a copy of the actual contract or not, but I definitely, if not, I definitely.
No, I think we have the proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, not
But,
the actual contract itself.
My contracts, if I can't make you happy, my contracts are very easy to get out. Let's put it that way.
What is the largest employee or employer institution that you support?
I can't give you the name, but I can give you the number, around 700-800.
Okay.
Do you work with any other public schools?
Yes. Well, I want to say private, parochial.
Okay, so no public.
We've worked with many in the past, and we do little jobs for them here and there, but some of the larger ones that we've worked with, they have full IT staff, so they only needed us for just little projects or something. But we have a parochial school that is fairly large that has a lot of your same challenges that we've worked with for the past couple of years.
I guess my only other question is, you talked about this hump, and that's not covered in the quote that you gave us. Can you give us any kind of a ballpark estimate what that's going to cost?
I'm going to put these guys on the spot. What do you think about extra hours in the first couple months?
Yeah, I would expect a little additional work. A lot of it's just the discovery process. We did a brief assessment that kind of gives me a spot to start. You know, really, that's something I'd say, just to be realistic, after an 8-hour day, I could probably get into, you know, how much work we really have to do on the server side, especially. Like hardware, it's easier for us to physically look at and assess. Server configuration gets a little more involved in that.
Ballpark?
Ballpark, I'd say, I would expect to have a good 20 hours of work coming in.
20 extra hours?
Right.
Yeah, I would say, I'd just be conservative and just say maybe closer to 30. By the time some of the cleanup and stuff we need to do. That would be, that way you won't come back at me and say, you said.
Because we would.
Yeah,
But what-
well, and I don't want, you know, I want to be conservative with you guys. I want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into.
What was that hourly rate? I missed that part, I'm sorry. No, okay.
Okay, we have off-premise backup. You provide that.
Yes, we can.
Your facility, cloud.
What we do, Dan, on this particular one, you want to explain that one?
Yeah, I mean, you know, cloud is basically just the buzzword for the internet, right? So we have 2 data centers. That's where all the data is stored. One of them is more for us to protect ourselves and your data. If our normal data center is blown off the map, we have data in a different store.
So the 2 locations.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 2 locations.
And normally those locations, we would have Normal and Peru, which are the farthest ones away from this facility. And I think that's the one we picked for here.
Okay, talking about our server and everything being old, let's say there is no money, because in the past few years, there was no money in
Sure.
the budget for tech. Can you work with what you have right now?
Yeah, we can work with what we have right now. Caveat there is, if you decide to put something on it that it won't run, it's not gonna run. If we have a board go out and we can't get the new board, we got a problem. There's ways around that. We can virtualize stuff, run it on our servers if we have to. You know, there are ways around things. So, you know, we're used to working with not-for-profit and non-profit organizations. So we're used to very, very tight budgets. We've got quite a few of those folks on our customer list.
Because we did have 5-year plans. In the past few years, it was zeroed out. The budget was zeroed out as far as tech. So
Okay.
we had to limp along with what we had.
Sure, sure. And, I don't know, Dan, do you want to talk to that any, or?
Well, I mean, that's, you know, I guess I use this analogy a lot. It's, you can keep an old car running forever. You're ultimately going to spend more money on the hardware, the car, or the mechanic. So we can't keep things running, and we have many examples of that. We would expect more labor, of course, you know, take more of our resources, which incidentally is a lot of the time cheaper, you know, than hardware, especially if hardware isn't an option. And kind of like Brian said earlier, we do, you know, we're able to help you with soldering, things like that, that a lot of our competitors just shy away from. And those are cost-saving measures.
You know, but if we walk in, you know, one day and the server just did a meltdown, we're kind of in trouble because, you know, there's so many things we can do. And we are doing some neat things now, like I said, with virtualization and stuff. We're actually using some of our large servers to run other people's servers and stuff like that, which in the long run could be cheaper, but, you know, it wouldn't be a cheap alternative right now. You know, we wouldn't want to do that right now. We want to, you know, keep going what you got if we can. And, you know, if money comes up in the budget, we can replace some of that stuff, that would be obviously great for you guys and us for lowering our hours.
Well, you said you would make us go faster. How?
Yeah. Well, we talked about upgrading some of the machines. I know when we talked to Shane, we talked about upgrading some of the machines, and then also, you just got a lot of errors on your server right now that need to be corrected, and that will help you out.
Do
So,
we still have a T1 line coming in, or did we go to T3? I don't remember.
CivicNet.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you got pretty fast. You got, I've slept a little bit since that assessment, but didn't they have pretty fast
I thought they had fiber coming in.
fiber? I think there's fiber coming in.
Okay.
A few years ago.
I didn't know if they changed it. Okay,
So
my-
that, you know,
Talk louder.
excuse me?
You're just gonna have to talk louder.
Okay, that's fine, that's no problem. Yeah, I think internet speed isn't really a big issue for you guys.
Oh, okay. All right, back to your proposal, I got a few things you could maybe clarify for me. While reviewing the server logs, how did you get the server logs?
I'm gonna let my engineer talk about that.
Just curious, how did you get the server logs?
That was on-site assessment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shane,
Provided them, you provided them.
Exactly.
Okay. It says Facet will install and manage an efficient enterprise class server. Where?
well, that would be, again, your budget. If it allowed, that's what we want to do.
We buy it, okay.
Right,
Wasn't sure.
yeah, but, you know, if your budget gets zeroed out, obviously, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay. Most of these you answered. Response time, we didn't narrow you down any.
Well, what really, let me answer that question, is what is your concern with response time?
I was just curious, what is a normal response time?
Normal response time, Jason, to get somebody on ground, on site, what do you
It
think?
takes us, if it takes us 2 to 4 hours to get someone on site, that's long for us, to be quite honest. We got enough technicians going around. We got remote guys, that's all they do is remote, you know, so if they have internet, they got an issue, we can get to you in 10 minutes sometimes, or on the spot, so.
And if your server's down, oh, we're not gonna take 2 hours to get here.
Okay, so it depends
No way,
on
yeah.
the issue.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if it's just, you know, we got a classroom that can't get, one of the machines can't get Word or something like that, that's not gonna be you know, unless you have 13 students and you really need that one, then, you know, maybe we will get it. But, you know, but if your server's down and everybody in the school is down,
It's time for payroll.
oh my God, you know, I will be here if I have to. Somebody will be here.
Payroll's important.
Yes, you know.
Okay, question on the method of deployment. Do you, for the Microsoft updates, security updates, is that auto or hand select? How do you do that?
We hand select most of those. Dan, I should let you answer this question because you're really in charge of that, but
Right, what we do is we deploy all, without exception, all the security and the critical updates from Microsoft. What happens is we have your equipment, that is, check in with our server. How they're deployed it varies business to business. What would be typical is we would set it up at 3 a.m. for your computers, check in with us, pull updates as needed. We do shadow, Microsoft releases them like the second Tuesday of the month, I think. We shadow them by about a week. It's not at all uncommon for them to put patches out, and then for them to put a, let's just say, update.
A patch for a patch.
Patch to a patch. So, yeah, we usually hold off about a week.
You said in here that you could ensure all machines will be 100% compliant. How?
Well, again, with WSUS updates, what was
Yeah,
the,
the device is checked in with us. We have literally of all our customers, we have a listing of each PC and the status.
And you normally get 100% compliancy?
Well, yeah,
Is that-
usually it's 99%. And again, you know, we're talking specifically to security and critical
Right.
patches. Because Microsoft has some other non-critical patches. For the most part, unless there's a compelling reason on the network to deploy a specific patch, we usually kind of hold off on those. But yeah, we're talking about the security and the critical.
That's impressive.
if you turn machines off to where we can't get to them, where our machine can't get to them at 3 in the morning or whenever they're doing it, that could be an issue, but we would address that. Because we can see, we can actually see when we aren't updated properly. You know, we'll be able to see that. So we'd want to address that. If we start seeing a bunch of red, a bunch of red.
Red flags.
Address it.
That's all I have. Mrs. Strong, do you have more questions?
I do not. Everybody else?
Your questions answered the ones I had, so.
He answered a lot.
Yeah, there were a lot, so.
What do you mean neither do you? Those are hard questions. You had to give it the engineer to answer them. Those are good.
You forget my son.
Oh.
She has court case.
Sorry.
No, that's what we want.
And honestly, if you think of something later, don't hesitate. You got my card. Don't hesitate to call. We have, you know, no problem answering any questions, or if you look at the proposal and see something that you don't understand or we didn't do right.
I believe my son went to school with you. Took a couple classes, Cisco classes with you.
Oh yeah, who's that?
Corey Bailey.
Oh yeah.
The tattoo one?
No. Oh, no.
I haven't seen him for a long time. What's he doing?
Microsoft.
Oh yeah, where at?
State Farm.
Okay.
Exactly, yes. Side State Farm.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun in that Cisco.
Yeah, he said you did.
Yeah. We had a good time. We were the first Cisco class I went through.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was quite a few years ago.
Yes, it was.
We thank you for your time.
I don't know.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you very
thank you,
much.
gentlemen. Yeah, it was on there and then it was removed, but I think it's technology companies. So we can go ahead and we'll have Mr. Wendell come on up and have a presentation time for the board.
First of all, I'm sorry, I'm late. I thought it was 7 o'clock, not 6. That wasn't intentional.
No, that's what I told you, Jay, was when you were on the agenda, they were 6, you were 7. So you're right on time.
Okay.
You guys already have what I submitted in front of you? Okay. I just got kind of the tail end of that. I guess I'm a little disappointed that you guys didn't ask me for the same analysis. I could have told you much of the same things. Obviously, like I heard you talking, Linda, we've been, sitting on the same hardware for a long time. We got that fantastic grant, I don't know, 5 years ago or whatever that was. And that was really the last chunk of change we spent on budgeting. I'm not going to spend much time talking about, but a few things that came up. We do currently run the WSUS server here. They were talking about Windows updates and all that stuff. The biggest challenge is, 70% of our computers are those student netbooks that are on for an hour a day, and it's just not possible to get that done. So we image those out every year in the summertime. That's how we take care of updates. It's just not possible to keep those up to date without literally turning on 400 machines and let them run all night.
That's why I was so confused, because I thought, how can they get 100% compliance?
Yeah, that's not really realistic. And we have XP running here, and that, I mean, that's not even possible to update. Schools are just, it's a different environment. You know, I would love to tell you that we could do all this awesome stuff, and everything they're saying is absolutely true, but it's just a little different environment here. We don't have the, you know, we don't have the cooling, we don't have the electricity, we don't have the infrastructure, you know, there's all these things we have to get by and get kids on the internet and do AR tests. I mean, that's what the bottom line is here. So everything is kind of put together funny. You know, student applications are built for something that was designed 10 years ago, and then they force you around with it today. That's just the nature of the beast. So we just have to get by with certain funny things. And my school clients are completely different than my corporate clients, just because it's a weird environment. Not too many people cater to schools because there's no money. It's a different ballgame, really. You can't really compare corporate computing and educational computing. It's completely different. I'll just talk briefly about my contract. This is the same thing we've been doing for a long time. I don't know if you see this every year or something similar to it, but it's basically broke down into 4 sections. We are on site 3 times a week. We take care of all the problems that have been submitted to us. There's no time limit on that. That's the biggest chunk. You know, 90% of our time is dealing with, you know, student wrote this or whatever it is, a printing problems. It's, you know, the PC stuff. That's the biggest chunk here. The second piece is network administration and server stuff. We have network guys. You know, I used to be the network guy of my company, but I'm not anymore. I've got much smarter people working for me than I. So we have guys available, and we can do virtualization, and we can do all that same fun stuff if you want to pay for the hardware to do it. So, you know, that's what it comes down to. I don't limit that time either. If something breaks, you know, we fix it. That's how it's always been. It's not a, you know, start and stop the clock type of thing. Another piece of the puzzle is the summer crew. That's kind of a big deal. We go through, and you guys pretty much sum that up. We hit every machine and clean, go through, scan, and physically clean, and put stuff away, and the room changes and all that fun stuff. And if there's right, and that's the time when usually if there's a big hardware purchase, that's usually when that's taken care of. If we get in the summer, I have my guys, you know, roll all that stuff out, and that's not a timed commitment either. It's just, you know, getting the job done. You guys have about 600 computers or so. So however long it takes to go through.
Still Ghost them, or is that old school?
Ghost is a name brand, but the process is there.
It's the same
Yeah.
imaging?
Yeah. Yeah. And the last piece of that puzzle is some time from myself. I'm the superintendent's consultant is what I call it. We have part of every school contract is the superintendent administration, you know, the special ed director, and people that have problems that need to be solved with technology. You know, we have conferences, or we come to board meetings, or, you know, whatever it is, that type of thing. That's the last piece of the contract. And that's a bank of time, but to be honest, I don't track that. It doesn't, you know, it is what it is. If somebody's calling me and they have a question or whatever, I mean, obviously I'm going to talk to them or meet or come out or whatever it is. So that's the only thing I really put an hour limit on. But like I said, I don't ask me for a report on hours because I won't be able to get it to you. But in a nutshell, that's how I break down all my school clients. Every contract for the school looks about like that. For the ones that obviously I've done for a long time, I know exactly how much time is involved. So I don't get into the habit of nickel diming. You know, I know some years you're going to spend a whole bunch of money. Like when you guys had the grant, obviously there was a lot more work. And then for a couple, you know, 2 or 3 honeymoon years, things run smooth, everything's new. There's less effort on the tech staff just because of the nature of the beast. And now as we're getting into the end of the tech cycle again, things pick up, things break all the time. You know, I'm on the phone with somebody on a daily basis because there's some problem or another. And then sooner or later, you're gonna have 10 grand or 20 grand to spend on servers or, you know, switches or wireless or whatever it is we need to do, and we just do it. You know, I know that's the cycle. I'm fine with the same amount all the time. That's easy for you to budget for. It's easy for me to live with. And to be honest, middle school districts, you're lucky if that's what you can get.
I was gonna say, with these are pretty standard, so this hourly rate that you quote, when's the last time we used that?
Never. I've always never done
I
that.
didn't
That would be
think
if you
so.
called me on Christmas and said, I need you to come out and do this. But, that's why I have a good split between schools and non-schools because the schools, they don't work on Christmas Eve and Christmas and it's not life or death. But, I've got attorneys and doctors and people that do call and will pay that.
You said you have many other schools. How many other schools do you have?
We've got probably about 20 districts.
Public schools?
Yeah, I don't have, we have one private school, St. Jude in Peoria, that nice new complex out there by Dunlap. But yeah, about 20 public school districts around Tazewell County, Peoria County, a little bit in Woodford, and one or two in Logan. So,
And any phone issues and E-rate issues, that's all built into the price, right?
we take care of the E-rate for you guys. And phones, we do what we can, but from time to time, we still have to call, or you guys have to call AT&T, or depending on what it is.
You try to.
Right. But, most of the time, it's something that we can go down in the basement and wire it or whatever it is.
And what is your response time?
For example, the last few days, we've had a lot of storms, and Shelley texted me, early in the morning, we've been here, 15, 20 minutes. I've got guys, literally, I live just, not too far from here, but we've got guys literally all around, all the time, so it's never an issue.
Over 4 hours?
Oh, no.
Okay, well, I'm just getting that 2 to 4 hour window. so
No,
after
it's
that.
usually less than an hour if it's,
Okay.
and I think he was talking about, it's hard to hear, but, you said something about payroll, and that's obviously more important than,
Right.
Right.
Somebody's printer.
Right.
That's what I understood. Right. That he would be.
And they understand that, and, the principals and the superintendent, the office people have my cell phone number, the staff does not. They go through the office, and they kind of, determine if this is a unique call situation, or do we just submit a ticket.
Wait, they go through what office?
They go to their
District
school
office or
office.
the, okay, the principal's office?
Yeah. That doesn't really come up, though.
I thought they did a ticket online, didn't you?
Yeah, all the teachers do. I'm talking about if it's like an emergency or.
Oh,
Skywards down.
Right. Something along those lines with the internet, or like this morning, the key fobs weren't working. Yesterday, I think the internet was out. We've just had a lot of storms lately, so.
Okay, so you work with the key fobs too?
We do.
I didn't know that.
I don't know.
I do remember it now.
I don't know that.
I
What is it,
remember that.
what is it that you do? Because Shelley spent all her time this morning trying to get them all back together.
She called us first thing, and Matt was here within 20 minutes. I can't speak today about what went on, but it sits on a computer in the tech office. It's just a software program that runs on a computer, and it communicates with building to building. It sits on the network.
It's a state program of the third school unit.
That's it. Stephanie does that, that's why.
And if it was down, because the website was down yesterday.
Right.
And, yeah, because there was the storm.
That's why Shelley couldn't do it, because that's
Shelley
Stephanie's
doesn't
job.
normally do it.
Right.
The problem today, though, it wasn't even a tech issue. Everybody expires on July 1st, the fobs. That was the problem. We forgot that from last year, I guess. I don't know why we did something like that.
It's good to know.
I think that automatically maybe weeds out people that have left. I don't know. We don't make the rules, we just do whatever they pass.
So what do we have coming in to the school?
Coming in?
Well, coming into that ATM thing at LaSalle.
Is it
T1
fiber?
We're getting ATM in the
Oh,
school?
no.
Well, let's call that.
CityNet, we've been a part of CityNet
Right,
for
right.
17
But what is, I mean, I know it's fiber.
CityNet is a group of school districts around.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, but not everybody might know.
Okay.
Let him explain civic.
Go ahead and explain. Sorry.
CivicNet was let's see, I think this started in about 1998. District 108 in Pekin wanted to bring the internet from the ICN, Illinois Century Network, which is a state agency that provides internet to schools, but they don't provide what's called the last mile. They'll get close to you, but they won't come all the way to you. So you need some other means to get to
What's our
the
last
ICN.
mile then?
CivicNet is our last
Okay,
mile.
but what, do we have T1, T3, fiber, what do we have?
We have
coming?
fiber, it's a fiber ring, we have fiber coming into our building, and we get free 25 meg from the state, from ICN, and we can buy more at a very reasonable cost and E-rate it if we need to. So we have the potential to go as high as we need to, but
Okay.
we don't max that out on a regular basis, so we don't need to go beyond the free.
So that's not slowing us down, is it?
No, it's like,
Okay.
because before I heard there was issues that it's slow, we can't get internet in some parts of the building. So what would that be from?
Well, our computers are pretty old.
So it's the computer system, not the internet.
That would be my first guess. Our infrastructure is pretty good. The hubs and the wireless system here and the switches, we have fiber in between wiring closets. That was all money spent with that, I don't remember what the grant was, but 5 years ago, whatever that big.
The technology.
Right. We did a lot of really nice infrastructure stuff, most over here, unfortunately, from the south, but at least it's here. And we did a lot of electrical upgrades. So the infrastructure is pretty good. We have good switches, we have good wireless system here, but the slowness is definitely a workstation issue.
Computer, not, okay.
Right.
But is that just here?
That's
Because
here.
it was LaSalle, it's back.
LaSalle doesn't have wireless, first of all,
Yeah.
and they've got even older stuff here.
Yeah.
And we have old I mean, everything we have is old.
So we would have to purchase,
But the budget
Oh, I know.
was zeroed out.
I understand.
right, because we had a plan in place.
I'm sure he was involved in
I know
the
it was,
five-year
we,
plan.
on the tech committee,
Right.
we met quite
But I mean, the
often
money
to
wasn't
keep that
there,
going.
so we get no upgrades. And
Right.
that's what we've got to look at as a board now. We've got to try to make up for those years.
And regardless of which company, we still
Yeah.
have to purchase.
Yeah, the hardware costs will be the same regardless of what you guys do as far as contracting or even hiring somebody outright. You know, those costs will remain the same. And actually, they're gonna charge you more to install all that stuff. That's an extra, you know, so you kind of get hit twice when you buy new stuff.
So we talked about the cloud storage. I'm not sure, you know, what the school is on right now.
Well, our, just like every other system here, the backup, and that needs to be addressed too. Cloud storage is pretty expensive. There's two different things when you're talking about backup. There's a disaster recovery, which means what are we gonna do if this building gets wiped out by a fire, tornado, everything is gone. That's disaster recovery. And the second part of it is file level backup. It's, you know, you accidentally deleted all this stuff a couple days ago and you sent it to ticket by accident, deleted all this stuff. We have to go to our backups and find that. So those are the two things that need to be dealt with. Cloud storage is typically what corporate customers use for disaster recovery. They keep a live copy of everything you do here somewhere else. So this place gets wiped out completely. All we have to do is, you know, go buy new hardware, grab the data from the cloud, and we're up and running somewhere else. File level backup is fairly cheap to do for somebody this size. You know, we just get a couple extra hard drives and stream everything to it on a nightly basis.
So where is that kept?
I have that stuff personally.
In an off, it's
I
like
have
a
it
page.
in my safe at home, yeah, just because, you know, I mean, I don't think I would pitch cloud storage, it's just too expensive.
How often is it backed up at night?
It's nightly, incrementals at night, and full backup on the weekend and everything.
So once a week it's full?
Once a week it's full and every night it's incremental. I would love for you to do something else, but, you know, for $400 or $500 a month, you know, I'm not gonna pitch that. We need a lot of other things before we need that. And it's the same thing I do for a bunch of schools, you know, I got a safe at home with my stuff in it, and I got a bunch of hard drives, you know, Creve Coeur, like the things that we got a lot. It's not ideal, but price is right.
As long as it's secure, that's all that matters, yeah.
There's much better ways to do it, and I'll be the first to say that. And I would love for you to do it some other way. You know, like I said, we need a lot of things, and I'm not sure how high the list it is.
You want to finish up with?
I don't think so. I think we hit on the high points. You know, there's a this conversation, I think both of them really talked about generic technology. We didn't talk much about, what's coming for education. There are some things that are going to be happening that we're going to have to deal with, and we're going to have to make some changes. The ISAT pencil and paper is gone. I mean, that's officially done. Starting next year, we're doing everything on the computer, so that really changes, how high up on the list these labs are, with the internet connection and things like that. So there are some things that we're going to have to deal with, just because you're not going to want to ship your kids to, East Coeur High School to take tests or something like that. That's what happens when the school district can't manage it themselves. So, there's a number of things coming down the line that are going to force us, kind of force our hand and spend some money on technology. And we got, a little bit newer machines in the labs, and that's definitely going to get us by for a year or two. But, we're going to have to stay on some type of rotation, at least for, X amount of machines. Otherwise, literally test scores are going to suffer. I mean, we hate that it comes down to that, but that's what they're forcing me to do.
Do you have a plan in mind of what we need to do?
I've been through it, actually. I piloted the program last year with about 3 districts, so I've actually been through the park testing already. I've seen hardware, what's good, what's bad. We know the process to get things in labs set up, the software. It's a huge pain. It's odd that it's as awkward as it is, but it is what it is. So I'm familiar, with the process and comfortable. Of course, there's no help from the company. They don't know what they're doing. Everybody that works there is new. It's a disaster. It's another state, if you ask me. But, we'll do the best we can with the hardware that we have available, and we meet the specs this year. And moving forward, we'll see what they say. We do have good phones. Like I said, the infrastructure helps. The internet connection is fantastic. We definitely got some things going for us. The workstations are probably the easiest thing to replace. Might be the most expensive, but they're short term.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I was late or not late, but unintentional.
Thank you. We need a motion to go into executive session, please.
Make the motion to enter into closed session for discussion of superintendent employment status and collective negotiation matters between the public body and the School Service Personnel Association.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner. Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie True. Rebecca Kern. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Let's take 9 minutes, 7:15. All right.
7:35.
Yeah, it's 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at the minute hand.
The second hand there. Yeah, you got it, real good eye.
Let's go to
35.
7:35, sounds good. Good plan. We need a motion to return to regular session, please.
Make the motion to resume regular session.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie True.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We need a motion regarding executive session matters, please. Motion to adopt
action items?
after this.
Oh, okay.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2014-04. Whereas the Board of Education of the Creve Coeur School District, number 76, Tazewell County, Illinois, desires to investigate subcontracting for custodial services for the purpose of determining potential operational, economic, and performance issue benefits to the school district, and whereas the Board of Education is experiencing operational issues within its custodial department, and Whereas the Board of Education desires to make a detailed comparison and analysis between its own custodial operations and those of potential subcontractors, and whereas the Board of Education, like all school districts in the state of Illinois, is experiencing reduced state revenues and increased economic costs in its custodial department, and whereas the Board of Education desires to make a detailed comparison and analysis between its own custodial department budget and the cost of using potential subcontractors, and whereas the Board of Education acknowledges the balancing of competing interests between the issue of subcontracting and its duty to be the good steward of tax revenue entrusted to it by the public for the operations and cleaning of the school environment, and whereas the Board of Education is experiencing personnel issues within its custodial department, which generally has caused disruption to the work environment, and whereas the Board of Education desires to make a detailed analysis of the personnel procedures between its own custodial staff and those of potential subcontractors, now wherefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of Education of Creve Coeur School District Number 76, Tazewell County, Illinois, as follows. Section 1. The Board of Education hereby determines that the recitals set forth above are integral parts of this resolution and are hereby incorporated as if fully set forth herein. Section 2. Board of Education is experiencing managerial and operational issues with the custodial department, such as decreased productivity due to arguments regarding work duties, threatening behavior between custodial personnel, non-standardized shift start times, break times, and end times, and inconsistency in the quality of work from day to day between shifts. Section 3, all of these operational issues led to the district's administrative staff allocating a disproportionate amount of management time to address the custodial department staff. Section 4, Board of Education will make a detailed comparison and analysis between its management of its own in-house custodial operations in relation to the use of potential subcontractors. Section 5, Board of Education is experiencing economic cost increases including supplies, equipment, wages, and benefits. The actual cost of the custodial department for fiscal year 2014 was approximately $360,000. The anticipated cost for a custodial service subcontractor would be approximately between $170,000 to $240,000, which would be a cost savings anywhere from $120,000 up to $190,000 for this fiscal year. Section 6, Board of Education will make a detailed comparison and analysis between the economic cost of its own in-house custodial operations in relation to the use between the economic costs of potential subcontractors in an effort to fulfill its fiduciary duty to the taxpaying public. Section 7, the Board of Education is experiencing personnel issues with the custodial department, such as unwillingness to follow district procedures regarding maintenance work orders, circumventing district office decisions regarding work orders, arguments between custodial personnel within the same building necessitating administrative intervention, disregarding district policy and state law by smoking on school grounds during summer break and during the school year, and generally causing disruption to the work environment through bickering and gossip. Section 8, Board of Education desires to make a detailed analysis between the in-house custodial personnel operations in relation to the use of potential subcontractors. Section 7, the President of the Board of Education hereby authorizes and directs the Superintendent of Schools to engage in the specific duties expressly set forth herein. Section 10, the Superintendent of Schools shall create or cause to be created a set of bid specifications for the use in the solicitation for public bids from third-party custodial service vendors. Section 11, the Superintendent of Schools shall engage in the solicitation of sealed public bids from third-party custodial service vendors, which shall contain the notice of submission deadline and the date and time of public bid opening at least 3 days prior to the bid opening. Section 12, the Superintendent of Schools shall ensure that a representative of the Creve Coeur School Support Personnel Association receives a copy of the bid specifications no later than the date upon which the public notice of bidding is published. Section 13, the superintendent of schools shall publish notice of public bids in a newspaper of general circulation within the school district boundaries and send such notice to known third-party custodial service vendors in the general vicinity of the school district. Section 14, the superintendent of schools shall require the bid specifications to stipulate a cost analysis and comparison between the district's budgeted custodial department costs and the potential subcontractor for a period of no less than 3 years. Section 15, the superintendent of schools shall publish a notice of public hearing regarding the subcontracting issue to be held prior to its regular September meeting in a newspaper of general circulation within the school district boundaries and send such notice to a representative of the Creve Coeur School Support Personnel Association. Section 16, this resolution shall be in full force and effect forthwith upon its passage.
Second.
Discussion?
And just, there was one correction. Instead of saying section 9, it said section 7 again.
Sorry.
I'm just.
And by law, this is required, that we do a resolution to proceed with this
For investigation.
for investigation.
For investigation purposes, the most, the best practice, I suppose, is the best way to put it. Is it a legal requirement necessity? No. Under the school code, however, under the case law that we have in place right now, this was the process that was used in that case and was outlined by the appellate court. So that's the process that we've undertaken tonight. So while it is, it's not in the school code as law, it is in a case law. So it just seemed best to use that as a roadmap to start the investigation. The investigation, not an entering into any contract, but the investigation to solicit for bids from third-party vendors so that you can the Board of Education can openly have public meetings to discuss the analysis of the economic, operational, and managerial issues. So this is for the investigation only. It is not anything more than that, and it's not entering into any contracts, and it's not taking action on any subcontracting or outsourcing issues of any current job classifications covered under the collective bargaining agreement. It is merely to start the process of the investigation. The Board of Education cannot really move forward to get the information from third-party vendors without soliciting for the bids. So you can't make any kind of a decision and determine if there is any cost benefit or operational or personnel or managerial benefits unless you receive those bid specifications.
So this will serve as a 90-day notice if the board goes ahead and contracts with an outside vendor, is that correct?
There is a provision in the school code that says that all affected employees must receive a 90-day notice prior to the Board of Education entering into a contract with a third party. So while this is not that notice specifically, that notice will be sent out to all affected employees, tomorrow.
After this is adopted?
Yes, if it's adopted, that would be sent out. Sure. Does not mean that anybody's losing their job. Doesn't mean that the board is firing anyone. All it means is at this point, the board wants to investigate the issue.
Further comments? Hearing none, roll call please.
Linda Bailey,
No.
Pam Kerner,
No.
Brenda Cagle,
Yes.
Val Reagan,
No.
Julie True,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now we're going to.
So I didn't hear,
Action
I didn't hear if
items.
that passed or not.
It did pass. Motion carried.
Motion carried, thank you.
Our action items, we need a motion, please, for F1. Are you with us? Yeah. Okay.
I'll make a motion to enter into a service contract with Wendelin Group.
Second.
Discussion?
I'll mention I was very impressed with Bassett. They brought a lot of attention to things that I guess I didn't know. But on the other hand, Mr. Wendelin's group, and he could probably be the first to tell you, him and I have not always agreed on things. He has kept us up and running for 17 years, and there's loyalty there a little bit too, so. Very impressed with Bassett, I have to say that.
My concern is the monthly fee, the $50 extra that Bassett charged is not my concern. But in listening to him talk, everything we go above is going to be billed at the $95 an hour. And a lot of the stuff that is extra with that company is already included with one another.
I agree. The other company was great.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Sorry. I agree that the company was great and they do support a business of 700 to 800 people, which was impressive. However, they did say basically we only get the 30 hours a month period. And it's only like half days here and there. Where Wendelin, we get the 3 days a week.
I guess what my final decision is going to be is because Jay is more familiar with the school aspect of it and he knows more about the testing that's rolling out. I would have liked to have seen a little bit, I know he wasn't prepared to do that for us tonight. I would have liked to have seen a more solid plan as to how we can get that done. But he does have more of a knowledge base, I think, because the other company does not do a huge amount with schools. And that is my biggest concern right now is, you know, the ISAT's gone, the park test, and so Jay has more knowledge with that. So, I mean, that's, and the other company, that would be, I mean, I was very impressed with all their stuff, but that would be a learning curve, I think, for them. And from what I've heard, I mean, if Jay's already worked with schools that have rolled that out last year, I mean, it is it's a huge learning curve and just working with those companies.
Well, I have one thing, maybe, can I address him? No? Okay. Well, I have one concern, is that if we have a tornado or a major storm that goes through this area, and he lives so close to us, he's storing our data as a backup in his own facility. I have an issue with that, because if we go down and the whole area is affected, including him, that's a concern.
And that's a good point. And then we can direct him to fix that and store our data
Where the other place, you know, they're having it off-site, whether it was in Normal or Bloomington, and then the other place was in Peru.
That's probably where the $50 extra is.
There you go. It could be,
Okay.
it could be,
So-
and that's something we can address. I'm
You know,
sure.
that is a concern for me, especially having, you know, being in that business world where that data would be very important to get us up and rolling again.
Right.
Now, if his neighborhood wasn't affected, that'd be all great. But you never know. We could have a Washington that happens here and it would cover miles. Okay, so that would be a very huge concern for me.
Bassett brings a commercial in, like a lot of you mentioned, which brings a lot of good stuff, such as the downloading, the backups. However, I would have to agree with the majority that I'm hearing that Mr. Wendelin has kept the district up and running with the budget he has from the school district. He is familiar with school districts. I think takes him up and above, as mentioned also. So I would tend to agree with those positives of the two if we're comparing the two.
And I think it's our responsibility to put forth some of those goals and some of those expectations to say, okay, we prefer this, or we prefer.
And we've got to let go of the money if we want upgrades, no
Right.
matter who comes in here.
Right.
I mean, a 2,000 server, we're not getting any updates.
Right.
Right now. So it's up to this board to find them, to direct the superintendent to find the money.
And the
I
thing
can
is,
find it.
Okay.
the thing is
I
that,
got an idea.
you know, it was mentioned that Parkview's, pretty much up to speed, more or less, and LaSalle is not. Well, we have the same testing that's going to be going on at LaSalle. That building has to be brought up
And
to speed.
the reason that is Parkview got the grant.
Right.
And the technology grant was for Parkview, not LaSalle. So we're gonna have to put some money into LaSalle to get it up.
And the sloppy cabling or whatever that we're talking about or referring to, that's got to be addressed.
I totally agree with Brenda, yeah. If,
The safety
you know,
factors.
The safety factor has to be addressed.
And if it's not been a concern before, now that it's been brought to our attention,
Absolutely.
it's got to be addressed.
Instructions, clean it up.
Yeah, it needs to be.
And even if they can't hear everything, Mr. Aldridge is taking notes of directives from the board. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie True.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Going on to action item F2, a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the required increases to the lunch and breakfast prices, lunch being $1.90, breakfast being $1.10.
I second.
Communications back?
Yes, I read this, and I know that we just raised the price last year, and I know that this is mandated.
Okay.
So what happens, and we're still not gonna be up to where they mandated it, so what happens if we don't raise it?
We have to do the minimum. Or, I'm sorry, there's a maximum that you can raise, and that's 10 cents.
Right.
So we have to do the maximum and keep maintenance of effort, it's called. So
Okay.
we have to keep going and increasing and show the Department of Agriculture that we are working toward that minimum price of $2.65 for lunches. That is the minimum that the U.S. Department of Agriculture has determined that a nutritious school lunch should cost. That's what a district should be spending to have a nutritious school lunch, is $2.65. So I've included not only our step sheet to show you how we got to the price calculator, but also some of the other school districts in the area. And you can see that they're moving up and around, getting towards that $2.
You actually use that for B.
Oh, did it? Okay. So you can see that everybody's moving towards that $2.65, but because of the calculator that you have to use, it does top out at 10 cents, because you can see the total price increase for the school year 2014-15 should be 25 cents. that should be what we are charging, or increasing our price to, but we are capped at 10 cents per lunch. So our remaining increase is carried forward. So if we're 15-16, it'll be 25 cents plus 15 cents, but we'll still be capped at 10-cent increase. So if you can follow the backward logic of the federal government, in about 58 years, we'll get to, all children can read. So, and no lunch will be left behind. But as with everything else, the communication I have with the Board of Education regarding the food director and the budget, the email that I sent out last week regarding that, showing that the food budget came in at just $1,000 over the budgeted amount. And that's even with all of the repairs that we had and, over $2,000 worth of lost food. So she has done an exceptional job, and that's why she deserved all the accolades that I laid upon her. So you've got to do it because you got to keep up. And the federal government's, I guess you could not, but I don't know what they would do to us. I couldn't tell you what.
So all the neighboring districts that you have down here, they're going to be also increasing a dime per year?
At least 10 cents. Well, yeah, at the most 10 cents,
Well,
yes.
I tried to get some information on it, and I read it and I still don't understand it. It says you can charge more in the questions and answers, but then I also saw where it was 10 cents maximum, so
Well, I think you can charge more than the $2.65. They're saying that's the minimum amount that a healthy lunch should cost.
Yeah, you could charge $3 for a lunch is what they're saying.
Right.
okay.
But we can only raise the price 10 cents a year.
So in 58 years,
If we would have had the price at $2.50 to begin with.
Yeah.
you have to use your calculator,
I
so
read
it's
it,
just ridiculous. I imagine there's some way to get around it, but it wasn't worth my time and effort because I didn't believe that the Board of Education would approve a $2.20 increase to school lunches. So it looks, we're right in line. Everybody, all of these in Robine, North Pekin, East Peoria, they're all going to go up a dime, next year. So we're right in line with all of our neighboring school districts as well.
Further comments? Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie True.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to motion F3, please.
Make a motion to post for anticipated teaching position opening. To approve posting teaching positions should any become available during the summer.
Yes, thank you. A second?
Second.
Discussion?
This is just to fill any that resign or quit, retire.
Yes, it's been brought to my attention and verified by a staff member that she has taken, accepted, and was hired by another school district. So her resignation will be coming in for the next board meeting. So I don't want to put that out there until she's given us a letter. But it is confirmed that she's been hired by another school district. So we will have at least one staff opening this school year, and there are potentially others, but there always are. And also, this goes hand in hand with F4 coming up. So the potential creation for other positions. So it's just kind of a preemptive strike here.
Your comment to us was that we can get a jump on applications too as well as, and having them in our bank when you need to start interviewing.
Right, in case we get last minute. I mean, last year, we got resignations all the way, until 1st of August. So, if I can start gathering resumes from interested individuals, then we'll have them and can start calling when those openings become available.
Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle.
Aye.
Val Reagan.
Aye.
Julie True.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. F4 needs a motion brought.
Make the motion to approve the creation and posting of the new teaching position in the special education and math intervention areas.
I second.
Discussion?
Creation of. Are you gonna do a new job description? Is that what you're looking for?
No, I mean, we already have special education teachers.
Correct.
We already have self-contained special education teacher positions. So maybe creation is maybe not the best word, maybe hiring. And since we're already posting for new positions, should they become available in the summer? Maybe there's a little bit of redundancy there. But I think I typed this one first and then that one, but here or there. Essentially, when we look at the numbers and the statistics for the special education students that we have in our school district, you'll see that there are classrooms right now where we are already starting at the state maximum number of students. And a couple of them were already over that number. Now, we could bank on some students not coming back. We could hold out and wait until school starts, 10-day enrollment, and then try to hire and put together a new classroom, special education classrooms. I'm not sure that's the wisest process to take, given that we have these numbers and the fact that we had this year 26 move-ins with IEPs, 26 students this past school year moved into our district who had IEPs. Out of 39 students who moved into our district, 26 of them had IEPs.
But how many moved out then the next week?
Then that's not ins and outs.
You know what I mean.
But yes, there is an attrition.
It's
Yes,
staggering.
it is, and the statistic is that we're 54% mobility. So that does happen, but it all levels out, and water finds its level, and I don't think we're going to reduce numbers of special education students.
Okay, so how many new teaching positions are you asking to fill? And are you asking just to post or to go ahead and hire?
Well, that was a create, I suppose, part of that, is to create and post and hire and get people on staff. Yes.
Okay, and the math interventionist, is that going to be a part-time position or a full-time position?
I have put in here, my recommendation is that we would have one full-time math interventionist. When we accepted Mr. Sorensen's resignation, he was just located here at Parkview. But I would just kind of point you to the chart. After the special education statistics, there's student and MAP scores and student growth. And In 5th grade, the typical growth on MAP scores is 8 points. That's what the MAP people's, that's their statistics, is 8 point is the typical growth on a student who does not receive any interventions. From the spring to the fall, they should gain 8 points. And you can see that we have these are only the students who were only receiving services and interventions from Mr. Sorensen. Okay. So, I'm sorry, there isn't anything that indicates that, is there, on here? So, this should be 6,
That's why we didn't
5.
have the South. That's why. Right. And we're not, exactly.
Right. The last one should be 5J. But anyway, you can see 32-point growth, 11 points, no points, 4, 8, 22, -1, 9, 13, 5. All right, that was the growth of these students who received those interventions. And you can go down the list in 5th through 8th grade and see that the growth points are pretty impressive. 7th grade, we have a little blip there. We've got some students that look like they have, maybe are struggling a little bit more, and possibly those are students who need further interventions to move forward. But you can see that from the rest of it, there has been impressive growth from the math interventions at Parkview. So it was asked of me earlier by the Board of Education, we have reading interventionists at both schools, why don't we have math interventionists at both schools? And I just wasn't able to answer that question because I didn't know why there wasn't a position at both schools. But this is now the time where you could create that position and have one person fill a part-time at both schools. And my discussions with some of the staff at LaSalle and the reading interventionist, the psychologist, the special education coordinator, they all believe that it would greatly enhance the interventions that are going on now. So.
Mr. Sorensen was not full-time, was he?
No.
Okay, but he dealt with 49 students.
At various times, and kids go in and out. Okay, so some kids are in for, I don't know, Holly, where they were in for 6 weeks and maybe out for?
They could go in for 6 weeks and then they take their next MAP test and then they score a nice score, and so then they get pulled out and put into like tier 2, and then kids that got lower score then would get bumped
Take his place.
Yeah, take his place.
So even though there's 49 students total throughout the year, that's not how many students he was servicing at any one time. That's
Okay,
the
so some
entire
of
year.
these negatives, could they have not been in with him, that last section then?
He can only see so many students, so.
But I mean, maybe that explains why some of the negatives, if he was no longer seeing this child, by the time they took
That could be a possibility.
the spring maps, then they went back
Could
down.
be, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think of that. So.
Before we go any further, can I I would like to rescind that motion. And reword it, please. Do we have a second?
Second.
Rescind it? Okay. Okay, I would like to make the motion to approve posting teaching positions in special education.
Period?
Period. Yes.
We'll make another motion.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Second.
Because moving on to the math interventionist, I would feel more comfortable if we had a job description, exactly what we are expecting of a math interventionist before I voted on that. I mean, I can make the motion, but that's my request.
But I'm again going to ask my question on the teaching positions.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and hire before we actually have our numbers this year.
We're gonna post. That's what my motion said. Motion
Okay.
to approve.
So it did not say hire.
Posting. Teaching positions in the special ed. I mean,
And at what time should I bring back to the Board of Education when to hire these individuals? I bring that motion right now. You've got to give me the ability to forecast. This is what this is. This is a forecast. Now, we can't see into the future. Okay, I can't tell you specifically. I would have to wait until the 6th day enrollments to give you actual numbers of the students who have butts and seats to give you perfect data. You can't do that because every kid that comes in with an IEP has to have services. And I don't have enough teachers right now to give them all services. That's our problem.
then what happens if we don't have enough children?
Then we're in violation of the law.
No, if we don't
Oh,
have
enough children.
for the teachers that we hire.
All right? Then what you have is, inclusion. We have an inclusion program that has 18 kids right now already, currently enrolled. All right? So let's say 5 of them don't show up. Okay? And inclusion 3-4, we have 15 there. And let's say 5 of them don't show up. So 10, 15. Then we have self-contained, 4 and 5, or K through 4. There's only 5 students there. Let's say all of them come there. All right, and stay there. We had 26 students move in with IEPs. Right? What we will be able to do is staff around this and use those individuals in the best way possible to give all of those students the services that they need, right? Knowing that there's going to be an increase during the year. We're going to level out and give some of these students who are in the inclusion rooms, especially in Parkview, we don't have self-contained rooms. We don't have a self-contained program here. So there are students in the inclusion program who are not succeeding, and they will need services. So if we are worried about overstaffing, then I would say we have to have somebody here at Parkview. It's a self-contained program because we're sending 4 self-contained students from LaSalle over here. So we've got at least 4 of them.
Where are we gonna put these people? Housing, rooms.
We got to find it. I don't know. I haven't worked through all these programs or all the details yet. I've got to get them. I've got to get it past the board to hire. Then I can find my
Yeah, and you're not asking for a set number. You're saying that some are coming forth. Let's post it, get those applications in, and as he deems the numbers, then he's got the ability to pull and begin hiring. There's no set number, you just put it in your motion.
I know.
So, and we've got a man that just saved the district $60,000, so do you think he's going to, in the budget, I believe we would all agree that he'll be very conservative. He likes those $7 savings. And,
So how do you want the motion to read? And hire?
Yes,
And hire.
yes.
Okay. How are you gonna get around that? Board hires.
Board hires a superintendent.
Superintendent recommends to the board to hire employees, correct?
The board, all the board has to do, and most boards of education do hiring of the staff through consent agendas. They delegate that.
Yes.
They delegate that to the administrative staff, use their professional judgment to hire qualified individuals. That's what you pay me to do.
Oh, I just went to board meeting, that was different district, and they hired teachers.
District 150 might do what he said. I mean, the bigger districts, I agree.
Hired a whole bunch of people from.
Yeah, all at once.
Last year.
I agree. a small district, we never have.
If you want to interview the teachers, I can bring them in here.
no,
What do you want? What is it that you want from me?
We want it
Okay?
on an agenda to hire them when.
You want to dominate the process and have it on here?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I made the motion to post it.
Okay.
You can interview them.
Thank
You
you.
can bring it back to the board, recommendation to hire.
Just like we've always done.
Yeah.
Is
We've
that
been
not-
doing it all year, that
Is
way.
that not what you're asking for?
But you just want his recommendation, you don't want like 5 candidates. and
No.
pick one. Okay.
No,
That's
then
what
he
I'm
tells
hearing
us
you
who-
say.
No, no, no.
He says who he's hiring, is all.
Okay.
And the board knows who's hiring.
Nobody's done, but that's what I've
That's-
done.
Okay, because Steve, I'm getting to,
Okay.
He wants
maybe
the
it's
motion
because
to
of
have
time.
hire in it.
And
It will be
hire.
on a consent agenda is what he stated.
It could
No,
be.
no, he said it.
Okay, so what's this gonna be? I'm gonna,
My motion said
okay,
to approve posting, teaching position. What
Okay.
more do you want?
okay.
To me, posting just means putting it on the window.
That's
and
right.
That's it.
And he can interview and select the person and bring it back to the board for approval.
Interviewing and selecting is, to me, hiring that person.
Brings it to the board for
And then,
approval.
okay,
For official hiring, it comes back to the board.
okay.
And so I bring you a person and you don't hire them, or you don't approve the recommendation.
And we've done that before on other things. No, not,
But
you
you-
were here. You
I
were
know,
here.
okay.
I just didn't
We
realize
sat there in
that's what we were
executive
doing.
session and did not approve some people for substitute teachers.
What it boils down to is to get teachers.
Okay, what do you want me to, I will resend my motion. You guys.
Let them make it.
Okay, I have now rescinded my motion.
I second the resent.
Okay, go for it.
And hire, teaching, special education, teaching staff.
To approve the posting and hiring of new teaching positions in
Now, take out
the
new teaching positions.
Okay.
Take all that out.
posting
and
of
hire.
special
Special
education
education, teaching staff.
teaching staff. Okay. Can somebody bring that motion? So I can bring the motion.
Okay.
I bring the motion to approve the posting and hiring of the special ed teaching staff for 2014-2015 school year.
I second.
Do you want limited? I'm just asking.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Do you want it limited? She said teaching staff, we hire 4 or 5 now. I'm not saying
Am
you
I
would.
going to?
No, I'm not saying you would, but I'm just saying that,
All right.
It's no different than putting a dollar amount on a motion.
right.
When you limit.
You're right.
So I guess.
I guess,
No more than, or a specific number.
I think you want it 2. Do you want more?
I just want to know how.
gotta allow
right?
him to do his job, guys.
Based on the numbers, he has to have a certain amount based on the numbers we have. We're at state capacity.
We're over.
He'll do whatever needs to be done.
We're not gonna have that long.
Got a motion on the floor, just vote.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
you got it. You got a motion on.
Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
No.
Cam Turner.
No.
Brenda Cagle.
Yes.
Val Reagan.
No.
Julie True.
Yes.
Rebecca Kern, yes. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, moving on to action item
Hold on, we gotta do the math interventions.
Oh, thank you. How did you know I was going to say that? All right, a new motion for the math interventionist.
I make a motion to post and hire a math interventionist for 2014-2015 school year.
A second. Do we have or need a job description for that position?
Will be created. Yes. Will be created.
After we vote?
I will bring that to the board at the next regular board meeting. We have a job description. It will be discussed by the Board of Education, and reviewed and revised as necessary, and we'll post but not hire until that's been approved. Is that all right?
The motion, sir.
No, it says post and hire.
It's the process, it's the procedure, that's all I'm saying, we can do it that way.
So take out hire, rescind that one, and just take out hire, post it. Is that what you're saying with your motion? Can you rescind your motion?
I rescind my motion.
Just revise it.
Just revise it.
No, I rescind it.
Thank you, Mrs. Drew. And the second?
I second.
No. Oh, okay.
Her resentment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Now, a motion to post
For a full-time
time
math interventionist,
Make a motion to post for a full-time math interventionist. Keep going.
school year.
for the
School
2014.
year, 2014, 2015.
Second, please.
I second.
Discussion begins. Hearing none, roll call.
Linda Bailey.
I didn't hear the motion. I'm sorry.
To make a motion to post for the full-time math interventionist for the 2014-2015 school year.
No.
Pam Griner.
No.
Brenda Cagle.
Yes.
Val Reagan.
Yes.
Julie Troop.
Yes.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Now we'll move on to F5. Motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of a short-term certificate of deposit CD to increase the interest rate being earned by the funds the district currently holds in its checking account.
Our treasurer,
I second.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Our treasurer brought to my attention that the interest rates on short-term CDs was starting to creep up, and there is one certificate of deposit that's short-term by 7 months, and it would give us a 0.57% rate on a 7-month term. We currently have a significant savings account, I don't know how you want to put it, cash reserve. We have a significant cash reserve that we carry in a checking account that gives us a 0.44% interest rate. So I'm bringing to the Board of Education the opportunity to purchase a certificate of deposit at that higher rate for a 7-month term, and then to think about if these rates continue to increase, I would encourage the board and would bring back to you a proposal for going back to the staggered CDs that you had used in the past, going back to that plan, if we start seeing rates going up. So, but for now, I think it's just conservative to take a chunk of money, put it into a 7-month CD. We don't have any cash flow issues right now, and I think it's just, it's not going to be a lot, but you know what? $3,000 on a CD is a smart board in a classroom. It's a couple of laptops. It's worth it. So
So how much money did you want to put in there? Is it the 2 million?
that would be my recommendation, but I open that to the board for discussion.
Now we need to adjust the motion once we discuss that.
Right.
Okay. Discussion.
Well, yeah, but I can't write it.
Yeah, no,
I can't write it.
That's all, I'm sorry.
I know, but I can't write the motions, you know, anticipating what the board might want to do, so.
No discussions?
Well, how much money is sitting out here, cash on hand? I'm trying to find a treasurer's report from last month, but how much is excess? You're saying six?
What is it?
I don't know, I haven't counted.
Oh, okay. Stood in the front there. I believe it's about $5.2 million in the ups and downs. If we had to average it out, it'd be about the $5.2 million.
And you're wanting to put how much in?
I'm recommending, suggesting $2 million to be put into this
Okay.
certificate of deposit for 7 months.
Okay, I thought you said six.
No.
Oh.
2 million.
District could
Okay.
easily spin out 2 million.
Yeah.
You're tired of
I'm tired, that's why I was
It is.
thinking how much was here, he's trying to put 6 in.
No. Right. No, our average daily balance is right around that $5.6 million. It just depends on when payments come in and stuff, you know.
I got it.
So,
I just misunderstood. and I-
we got about $6 million, we carry. I'd say you could easily spin off $2 million and buy a CD for 7 months.
I don't have a problem with that. That's good practice.
So which bank, I mean,
The one that has that interest rate right now is Hometown Community Banks. The other interest rates, the other banks that I looked at were Heartland Bank and Trust, and they didn't have anything. Their lowest, their shortest term was 14 months. Everything else was too far. I mean, our checking account gives us better than anything else.
okay, I have a question. At
Yes,
the
ma'am.
top, all
Yeah.
depositors are insured up to $250,000, is that what I'm reading?
That is correct.
And we're gonna put 2 million in.
Yes, ma'am. That's my suggestion. Because we have to have a collateralization letter from the bank indicating that they are pledging their collateral for up to our amount of deposit so that it is covered in case of any substantial loss.
And we will have that, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We have those on file now. For all of our savings, or all of our cash, all of our funds, we have letters of collateral from the bank saying that we're covered and they've pledged those collateral to our deposits to actually to up to $8 million. So, yep.
So,
Do you want me to redo this motion?
yeah.
That's a good point.
We need the amount and 7 months to the bank. That you mentioned. Yeah.
I make a motion to approve a short-term certificate of deposit, CD, to increase the interest rate being earned by the funds the district currently holds in its checking account in the amount of $2 million for the term of 7 months to Hometown Community Banks. Is that all right?
Second. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey?
Aye.
Pam Briner?
No.
Brenda Cagle?
Aye.
Val Reagan?
Aye.
Julie Truitt?
Can I get clarification here before I vote? I'm sorry. So we put it in the motion to specifically do this specific bank.
Mhm.
Let's say tomorrow their rates go down and Heartland goes up.
Heartland is 14 months.
I'm just
Yeah,
throwing it out there, guys. Things change daily.
yeah, but this is the shortest.
So if we rescind, oh, I don't know
I-
that we can
we're
rescind it.
already
Well, no, no.
voting.
We can't have any more 7 months to choose from.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
That's the
Right.
difference. You don't want
Okay.
to tie up 2 million for,
Okay,
Two
I,
years.
okay.
It's a good question,
Rebecca
though.
Kern, aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Because these things do change daily. Yeah.
All right. Members, we're at that adjournment. Motion, please.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
10:37 p.m. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie Drew. Rebecca Kern, aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.